What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the corner. The NBA season's finally here, and already some players are testing our patience, whether it's rough starts or early injuries. But before you rage drop anyone at this point, I've got 5 players you should not give up on just yet. And if you've been enjoying these videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single update on everything related to fantasy basketball. Now let's get into it. First, we have Kevin Porter Jr. He started off the season on an absolute heater. The chemistry and aggression that he showed on the court was amazing. He looked almost identical to where he left off last year. He was confident, decisive, and completely in rhythm with the offense. That's exactly what you want to see from a player returning to a familiar role. Even though he only logged about 9 minutes in this game, the short stint was filled with a bunch of positives. His efficiency was amazing, his active movement off the ball, he wasn't just standing around in corners, and he had strong command in transition. It's easy to look at the limited minutes and overreact, but there's no reason to panic here. Most of you probably grabbed Porter around the 7th or 8th round in your drafts, which makes this even more frustrating. Losing a mid-round player early in the season, especially on the very first day, especially to an injury, usually sucks. But this situation is not the kind where you hit the drop button. His early usage rate was excellent, and the offense clearly flowed through him and Giannis. So whenever he's back on the floor, you can expect the same. You just kind of have to be patient. That tells you everything you need to know about what the team plans to use him as once he's back onto the court. And the Bucks haven't given us a clear timeline as of yet, but based on what's been reported, it looks like more of a short-term issue, more like a minor issue. So he may be out for a week or two or just a couple of days, nothing long-term. So if you're looking at your roster and considering dropping him for a hot waiver wire pickup, don't do it. You have to be patient. Players with this combination of usage and shot creation don't just sit on the wire for long, so you don't want to get rid of your opportunity to have him on your team. And once he's healthy, he will fit right back in and get back to scoring those points for you at a high volume. Next on this list, we have Sheppard. And Sheppard came into the season with a ton of hype. I myself have made a video about him already, saying that he was one of my favorite players going into this year, and the talent is obvious. We all have seen what he can do on the court. He can shoot the lights out of the gym, he can dribble, he can create his own shot, and all those things happen when he is confident. He has no problem getting to the rim. But on opening night, it did not go as planned. He hit a few nice shots in transition and also off the dribble from Embiid Thompson, but overall he just looked off. He didn't look like he fit into Houston Rockets offense at all at some point. What really stood out was how uncomfortable he looked running the offense. With Fred VanVleet out for pretty much half the season, Embiid Thompson should have been the primary ball handler tonight, and he was, yet when Reed ended up taking that role for stretches, the offense just looked off. It looked wrong. It looked stagnant. There was a lot of mistakes that he was making in transition and just overall with the plays. And I think this is just him being nervous and uncomfortable. Maybe over the season he gets more comfortable and it just looks better and he starts to flow. But I think in that game on Wednesday night, the ball should have been in Embiid Thompson's hand the entire time, with him making plays and splashing it out to Reed to hit those quick shots. It felt like a coaching misstep more than a Reed issue, but again, he could have just been nervous first game, and having Reed bring the ball up when he's not a major scoring threat also was at a disadvantage for him, because we all know he can shoot, but he has not earned that reputation yet in the league. So when Thompson is running point, he can slash, draw help, and kick the ball out to open looks. And this is what Reed can do to actually start to thrive, is to be a spot-up shooter in situations like this. The Rockets just didn't play to that strength at all on opening night, and they still almost won this game. But still, it's way too early to panic on Reed. One bad night doesn't define a young player, especially one with so much talent and an offense that looks as explosive and healthy as the Rockets. The Rockets system leaned more towards isolation ball, which is kind of expected with the talent they have on the team, rather than playing the ball into rhythm and finding shots. If that continues in the long term, it could limit Reed production, but for now, the takeaway isn't that he can't perform. It's just that the team needs to find the right offensive balance to make sure his skill set so fits the scheme. All right, now we have Michael Porter Jr., and he was one of my top breakouts heading into the season. And this is one of the things I mentioned in that video as well, that he can be very, very frustrating to roster in fantasy. But this was not what I was expecting at all tonight. Maybe a rough shooting night, but I was expecting more from him. There's no way around it. He played like complete dog shit. He played like ass. He shot 5 for 15 from the field. He had 2 missed free throws, and he finished with a -19 plus or minus. This is not what anyone expected to start off his career in Brooklyn. It wasn't just the missed shots, it was the lack of rhythm and energy on both ends of the floor. He looked out of sync, forcing jumpers early in the clock and never really finding a groove with the offense. And still, as bad as it looked, it feels like a one-off for right now. Every shooter has nights where nothing falls, and Porter's game is built in confidence and rhythm. So the thing that gives me pause is how flat his performance impact was. When the shot wasn't dropping, you want to see him crash the boards harder or get to the line more, create shots. Like the other night when Shea Gilly was struggling, he couldn't hit a shot. He got to the line, found his rhythm, and after that, he started pulling up and hitting some crazy shots to tie the game and eventually win the game. Those secondary stats are what separates the streaky scorers in fantasy from the real fantasy threats to superstars. And the upside is still there for Michael Porter Jr. He has the green light in Brooklyn that was shown tonight. He has a clear role and enough minutes to bounce back quickly. It's just that particular game showed the frustrating floor he can have in fantasy, and a lot of you guys may not be able to withstand that. But hopefully this ends up just being the coldest game he has all year, and this is not a trend of hot, cold, because if he starts to string a couple of games like this one he had tonight together, oh man, that breakout take I took earlier is going to look very, very bad. So this next one is Joel Embiid, and this is a player that I said before, be wary if you're going to draft him because we have no idea what to expect when it comes to him. He just had arguably his worst game of his career tonight. He scored 4 points, 1 of 9 shooting with 5 rebounds, and for a player of his caliber, even on a minutes restriction, that is very, very bad. That is shocking production from him. But again, the context matters here. This was his first real game in about a year, give or take. He had a major injury last year to his knee, and he clearly wasn't anywhere near to his full rhythm or potential or confidence, and it showed throughout the game. The Sixers also had him on a minutes restriction, like I mentioned before. He only logged about 20 minutes, and this is what I expected from him coming off a major injury, history of injuries. He's not going to be playing full minutes until probably like January or December time, and that is going to limit his flow offensively for majority of the season. What's more concerning than the stat line though was how uncomfortable he looked physically throughout the game. He was stiff, he wasn't elevating off the ground like usual, and every jump it looked like he was going through a mental checklist. It looked like he just wasn't there 100% to get his feet off the ground, as if he didn't trust he could land back onto the ground. And that's something that needs to be watched closely over the next couple of games. It's not a panic quite yet. Maybe it's just rust. He's not used to it. He's kind of scared from the last injury. He'll shake it off at some point, hopefully quickly. But if it's lack of lifts due to an injury, this could be a way bigger thing than I thought. And that 5th round draft pick looks even worse than I thought. Right now, I still don't think it's panic time quite yet, but it's definitely a yellow flag. You don't drop or trade him out of fear, but you should monitor his minutes and his body language and what the coaches are saying, because if he still looks limited a week or 2 from now, then that concern can turn real and it may be time to get rid of him before it's too late. And lastly, we have Alex Sarr, and honestly, his performance tonight was pretty much what I expected. I wanted to have more from him, but the way the Wizards are using him is just not conducive for his style of play at all. So there's no reason to panic yet. He looked just overall uncomfortable on the floor at times, almost like he was still figuring out what he wanted to do in the offense. And watching him, it's become more clear that he might not be best suited to play a true center right now, even though he is about 7 feet tall. Stat wise, he didn't play terribly. If you look at the stat sheet, it just looks like an average role player. 10 points, 5 of 10 shooting with 11 boards. It's solid on paper, but the impact of his game just wasn't there. A lot of his touches felt forced, came off broken plays rather than designed sets. For a young big in the league, that's not uncommon, but the timing, the spacing, and confidence, it all takes time to develop, and he's just not there yet, and it's very evident. The bigger issue is how the Wizards are using him, and if they want to compete or even look functional offensively, they'll need to start running the offense through their 2nd overall pick. The talent is there and the effort is not in question, I don't think, but the scheme is just not good right now in Washington. So while the stat line doesn't jump out and say, wow, this is a good or bad game, it's nothing to stress about quite yet. So if we did draft Alex, just be patient. I think over time, he will start to get more confidence and the coaches will start to use him in a different manner, hopefully, and he starts to become the star that he can potentially be. Okay, and that's going to wrap up today's video. These 5 players definitely are a little frustrating opening night. They all struggled, but just right now, remember, it's the first week of a very long NBA season, so don't hit the panic button just yet. Some of these guys might slip into that streamer territory kind of soon, but they're not there just yet, so don't pull the trigger. Keep an eye out on their trends over the next few games and also going into next week and see who's rising or falling over that time. But that's going to be all for me. Thanks for hanging out in the corner. As always, peace out. I'll see you in the next one.